Well, hello, folks. I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower, and this is NCK Live. We try to get together once a week, have a chat, at least let you know there's somebody out there that believes along the same lines you do, and that all is not lost. You aren't the only one. Again, I'm Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower, and people do ask me, what do you mean by Christian whistleblower? Are you still a Christian? Well, you know, Edward Snowden, probably the best known whistleblower, at least to those of us here in the United States, is known as a whistleblower, an NSA whistleblower, or National Security Agency, because he was in the National Security Agency. He was a member of the National Security Agency, saw some things that he could not live with that were enslaving to people, and came out and started telling everyone about it. So, of course, you wouldn't ask Edward Snowden, is he still on the NSA? Because he was kicked out of the NSA. Now, I was kicked out of the Assemblies of God, but I left of my own accord from other organizations and from being a full-time minister. So, even though I wasn't kicked out, I am no longer part of Christian denominations. I do not consider myself a Christian anymore. And that's something else I always get. Well, what are you, Jeff? Well, I am a person that refuses to label myself. That's what I am first and foremost. If you back me into a corner, I'll tell you that I do believe in the teachings of Yeshua, the original teachings of Yeshua, and I do endeavor to live my life in accordance with those teachings, and I do maintain a completely open mind as to the reception and adoption, potentially, of other beliefs, truths, thoughts, and things that prove to be practical, prove to be real, prove to be helpful to me in my spiritual development, you know, as a person and as a spiritual entity. And that's one of the things that's very difficult for us as Americans, as Western European heritage, coming out of the entire we got to get saved type of mentality. And really the question that I want to ask you today as we talk just a few minutes is it saved or is it enslaved? Now, first of all, the whole concept of saved is flawed. What do you have to be saved from? Why do you need to be saved? Well, because I'm a sinner. Who told you you were a sinner? I'm reminded of Mark Twain, who said if there had never been a priest, there never would have been an infidel. And of course, the inference is clear. The only ones that made us infidels are the priests, are the pastors, are the rabbis, are the imams. Yeshua told us that we are born with the spark of divinity within, not with original sin. And I have just released a new Christmas book. It's called Christmas UFO Story. It's at jeffreydarty.com, and I'll put the link in the box below. And it does touch on that, and it touches on how really original sin was our first Christmas present. So it's only $2.50, you know, $2.5 for Christmas. And we also put the book The Curious Christmas Conundrums that we talked about on Coast to Coast AM on sale for $2.5, again, just $2.50. And we also put some of the other books on sale. The Diamond New Testament ebook is now half price at $5. So we'll put those in the links below. But it was the priests, the pastors, it was the religious people that made up this whole concept of you needing to be saved. You don't need to be saved. You have nothing to be saved from. Now, that's not to say that you haven't done some things that were not helpful to you, that weren't helpful to others, that you should, you know, stop doing and go to those people and ask for forgiveness. Not saying you don't need forgiveness, but saying you don't need any salvation because you're not inherently sinful. Yeshua said you're filled with the spark of divinity. Now, that doesn't mean you haven't done some things you shouldn't have done, and there's nothing wrong with asking for forgiveness for those things. In fact, I would encourage reparations whenever and wherever are possible. But the whole point is you don't need a Savior because you're not a sinner. You were born. John told us that Yeshua has brought enlightenment to every single person as they come into the world. John says, the Apostle John, in John chapter 1, verse 1, I believe King James says, He lighteneth everyone that cometh into the world. Of course, they try to make it a little bit hard for us to understand, and it is, 400-year-old language. But what the original Greek says is that Yeshua brings enlightenment to every person as they come into the world. So when you came into this world, you received that spark of enlightenment. Now, of course, it has to be fanned. It has to be nurtured. It has to be built and grown upon. So you don't really need to be saved. And when you allow yourself to be saved, quote unquote, what you're really doing is becoming enslaved. Because in any of these salvation systems, be they Christian, be they Judaic, be they Muslim, be they, did I cover them all? Islam, Judaism, Christianity. Any of these salvation systems that come up, or be they New Age salvation systems, anything that says that you're flawed inherently and need a Savior, they don't really save you, they enslave you, because along with this supposed gift, quote unquote, of salvation, a gift that you get by admitting that you're a dirty, rotten piece of crap, and are going to go to a very bad place where bad things happen to you if you don't align with their specific salvation system. Along with the specific salvation system and the purported gift of salvation comes a lot of rules and regulations, usually some need for financial payment or exchange of goods and services. So it's not really saved, it's enslaved. And that's a key point. That's a rule of thumb. Any system that says that you're inherently wrong and that you need to be saved is not a system of saving, it's a system of enslaving. In any system that says after you've had a particular prescribed experience that you must continue to pay, visit, return, give, serve, well, that's also not a system of saving, it's a system of enslaving. And some of our friends in the New Cage, did I say New Cage? The New Age movement also want to have you roped into coming to them every month, every week, whatever. So don't let yourself get into the place where you think you need to be saved, because it's always going to lead to you being enslaved. So, Jeff, it's hard to be totally independent. It is, I understand that. But we're taking the steps to make it less difficult. So today I want you to stop, I want you to think, I want you to consider, do I need to be saved? No, not really, because I'm not inherently sinful. And if I have been saved, have I really entered into enslavement? And I would encourage you that if you've ever prayed that salvation prayer, the blood and confess with my mouth, believe in my heart, if you've ever had a salvation prayer in Roman Catholicism, I don't think it's really required, or in Roman Protestantism, I would encourage you to break the power of that, I call it a curse, or of an oath that you swore, because when you do the whole get saved sinner's prayer, you're actually praying a curse or praying a enslavement mantra or ritual over yourself. So I'm not sure how it works in Islam. I'm not sure how it works within the ranks of Judaism, but I'm an expert on how it works within the ranks of Christianity. So I would just encourage you, if you have received salvation, if you've prayed a sinner's prayer, you have sworn a blood oath over your very spiritual essence. And I would just encourage you right now to save this recording and do some meditating and come back and write these words down or something, and just get to a place of meditation and say something to this effect: I break the blood oath that I swore over my soul or spiritual self or essence, whatever you want to say. I break the blood oath that I swore over myself. I am not a sinner. I do not need salvation. I break any oaths of blood I've made over my soul. I break any oaths of devotion I've made over my soul. I do not give my soul to Jesus. I do not give my soul to the Lord. I do not give my soul to anyone. I am a free agent and am responsible and in full control of my own spiritual nature and my own spiritual destiny. No, I'm not perfect, but I'm also not a slave. I bind and break the power of any blood oaths or any oaths that I have sworn that give me or place me in captivity to any and every other person or entity. This is my stated intention. There you go. I know that was kind of long, a little bit rambling, but I encourage you to go back and say that, plead that over yourself, and you will notice, I guarantee you, a freedom come upon you, because I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. I'm the Christian whistleblower, and my job is to help you unindoctrinate yourself.